after a thankfully shorter hiatus than usual, the hobgoblins who reside over scheduling over at Cartoon Network have deemed to grace us with 2 new episodes of the series in the form of the Stranded special, consisting of the episode Lars of the Stars and the episode Jungle Moon. I'm going to be covering both of those episodes in this review today. Overall, I did like both episodes quite a bit, but let's talk about why. Let's talk about Lars of the Stars first, not just because it came first, but because I think, objectively speaking, compared to Jungle Moon, it's the least interesting of the 2 episodes. So let's just get it out of the way first. I know that it hasn't been that long in series, maybe a week, since we've seen Lars, but it feels like so much longer thanks to the hiatuses. So it was definitely nice to see him again, and to especially see him in action. This is the episode that was previewed in the clip that we got from, I believe it was Comic-Con, a long freaking time ago at this point, where he seems to have assumed the role of some sort of anime-esque space pirate, and it was absolutely delightful. It was as delightful as that clip made it out to be. It managed to strike that careful balance between being a parody of that genre of television and being a loving homage to that genre of television all at the same time. Kind of like Galaxy Quest was a loving homage to Star Trek, but also a parody of some of the silly things about it. I loved this episode. I loved seeing each of the off-colors in their specific roles on the ship. I loved seeing Lars as this charismatic captain figure with excellent instincts, according to the off-colors. They are only alive because his instincts are so good. It seems as if after years of Lars fumbling through life, he's finally found something that he's genuinely good at. That it is this, of all things, is a little odd, but it's still super cool that he did that. We do get confirmation in this episode that, as I suspected, Lars and the off-colors did steal the super fast gem ship that they stole so that they could get back to Earth with it. And by the end of these 2 episodes, that is still Lars' goal. By the end of these 2 episodes, Steven and Connie do return to Earth through Lars' head, but Lars' goal is still to get back to Earth with this super fast ship. Which, if he does, that's awesome. That will mean that the gems will not only have a ship, but a really good one. An objectively better one than the Ruby's ship. I also think it's worth noting that this ship is green, and they do have a green gem friend who we know, like Lars, was a ship captain and who, like Lars, has a ship's crew. I'm speaking, of course, of Centipedal and her fellow Centipedals, who, now thanks to a background detail in these 2 episodes, we can be reasonably sure is a Nephrite gem. If Lars and his off-colors for some reason are not able to crew the ship at some point, it's possible that once Centipedal becomes uncorrupted, and I genuinely believe that she will be, she and her crew could crew the ship in their stead. And it would even be thematically appropriate. Overall, Lars of the Stars was mostly just a fun episode. There wasn't much more to it than that, though we did get one really good Lars character moment in the episode. Steven, thinking that Lars would be happy for Sadie, shows him a bunch of pictures of her getting on with her life, hanging out with the cool kids, being part of her band. And Lars starts to revert back to the old Lars, the way that Lars used to be before he had his big character transformation moment. He starts to get jealous, worrying that Sadie is moving on too fast and resenting her for being so happy without him there. But, with very little prompting from Steven, the new Lars comes back and beats that old Lars into the ground. It's a reminder that Lars' character development is still in progress, but that he's come a very long way. And I was glad to see that he didn't actually revert in this moment, that he remained the new, cool, confident Captain Lars. Because as much as I don't hate that old Lars anymore, I do kind of see where he's coming from and all at this point. I really do prefer this new Lars to the old one. I think a majority of the fandom does. As Lars and his crew, along with Steven and Connie, are fleeing from Emerald, the gem that they stole this ship from in the first place, she is able to catch up. I'm not really sure how, considering that the ship that Lars is in is supposed to be faster than hers. But she manages to do it anyway. And in Lars' moment of distraction, when he sees the pictures of Sadie, he doesn't give his crew any orders, and they're caught off guard, and many of their systems are knocked offline by Emerald's weapons. Steven and Connie, who at this point have fused into Stevani, take Lars' experimental fighter, which I'll talk about in a second, out to distract Emerald's ship and take their weapons offline, so that Lars and the off-colors can get the systems on his ship functioning again. They succeed in destroying Emerald's blasters, but get hit by missile fire and crash into the Jungle Moon that is the titular Jungle Moon from Jungle Moon. It was a cool, dynamic scene. It was played up more for fun than anything else, just like the rest of this episode was, save that one big emotional Lars moment. Which is interesting because it leads into an incredibly serious episode of the show. Jungle Moon is kind of somber. It takes itself very seriously, and it has a major reveal at the end. But before we get into that, I do want to talk about Lars' experimental fighter. The off-colors mentioned that he's the only person who knows how to fly it. And Stevani, just jokingly, I would imagine, says that if it's anything like driving a car, they'll be fine. And what do you know, it turns out that it is. Lars took a gem fighter, gutted it, and gave it the control systems of an Earth car. He straight up Megas XLR'd that thing. And I think that's just absolutely fantastic. Like, I don't know if that's the reference that the crew was going for there, but it was great nonetheless. This, of course, leads us into Jungle Moon. Steven and Connie, still fused as Stevonnie, are trapped on a Jungle Moon, a moon that has life on it, in orbit of a hollowed-out planet. They are forced to survive in the wilderness of this moon. For, I would guess, just a few days, honestly. No more than a week. But still, that's a long time for them to be on their own. And that's a long time for Steven and Connie to stay fused as Stevonnie. I honestly wish this had been stretched out to a 22-minute episode so we could see more of Stevonnie just being Stevonnie. I think that would have just been really cool. They eventually end up taking shelter in a tower, not realizing at first that it's actually a gem moon-base tower. While sleeping in this tower, they have a dream. It starts out as a tiny Stevonnie next to Dr. Maheshwaran, but her dialogue is wrong. It sounds like something more like what Yellow Diamond would be saying, which is appropriate because she transitions into a sort of Dr. Maheshwaran Yellow Diamond hybrid, and suddenly talking to her, Stevonnie's dialogue doesn't seem like Stevonnie's dialogue anymore. It seems like somebody else's. Through Stevonnie, this speaker insists that they are just as important as Yellow Diamond, deserve their own colony, and then it is revealed that the speaker, the character whose perspective relative to Yellow Diamond we've been seeing, is Pink Diamond, and we get a reveal of her design. There is a ton to unpack in this dream sequence. And while we can't take everything in it literally, we can't take it as 100% accurate because it is a dream sequence and it does invalidate itself all on its own multiple times when Stevonnie's scale relative to Yellow Diamond keeps changing. There is still a lot of symbolism here. Like, first of all, why did it start out as a scene between Stevonnie and Dr. Maheshwaran? Does this perhaps mean that the relationship between Pink Diamond and Yellow Diamond was in some way similar to the relationship between Dr. Maheshwaran and Connie? Honestly, at this point I think that it does, but how exactly it does is what's up in the air. I do have some analyses and theories about this scene in particular coming up, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much here, but honestly, I'm not even sure if we're supposed to draw anything definitive from that dream sequence, at least not yet. It had the feeling of setup to it, as if it was laying the foundation for something that's going to become clearer and clearer as this season progresses. There's also a question as to how Stevonnie was able to have that dream, as it did seem like they were living a distorted version of one of Pink Diamond's memories. But I also have a theory about that coming up, so I'm not gonna talk about that here either. Let's just say it's pretty interesting and doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you really think about it, which is why I'm super happy that I'm getting the chance to try to figure it out. Thanks to the dream, Stevonnie realizes that they're on a gem base. They're able to use the communication systems on that gem base to contact Lars's ship. He comes and picks them up. They go home back to Earth. End of episode. And it was awesome. These were great episodes, definitely worth the wait. People have been buzzing about them since they aired. Myself included, I've been saying a ton of stuff about these episodes over on my Tumblr. Granted, the fact that these episodes were really good does not mean that I want another long hiatus. Cartoon Network, seriously, don't put the show on hiatus again. Please. But I am at least satiated for now. What about you guys, though? What did you think of these two episodes, if you have seen them? Honestly, if you haven't seen them, I don't know why you're here watching this, because they're pretty big, pretty major, especially the end of that second one. But yeah, if you have, what did you think of them? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.